I'm Linares, and with me is 64-bit Link to commentate this.
Hello, everyone.
Today, Maniacal and Lomion Jones have decided to veto any percent and 100% in order to bring us a triple bingo match.
Yeah, so that'll be exciting. This is, I think, the first triple bingo of the tournament, so it'll be interesting to see how these players react to whatever card they wind up being given.
So, as part of the rules for triple bingo in the multi-category, the seed in the card will be revealed once the race has not started, which means that we haven't seen it yet either.
Yeah, are there any tiles in particular that you're like hoping to see or think, or like the runners are hoping to avoid?
Anything with triple bingo. So, for those who don't know, of course, bingo is the standard 5x5 grid of goals. And in triple bingo, the runner will have to map out a route to fill out 3 such row columns and diagonal. So, unlike in double anti bingo, there's no forced tiles here. And so, a lot of the time, some of the nastier tiles, like defeat Ridley and Crocomire, or collect Spring Ball but skip Grapple Beam or Ice Beam, depending on which one you prefer. A lot of those tiles the runners don't have to do.
Yeah, so for some of you may remember the DAB tournament from this past summer, where that was featured one of the rows was picked by their opponent. So in this tournament, it's very different, where each player is picking their own 3 rows, is basically trying to optimize to find the 3 rows that they think they can complete together in the lowest amount of time. So there's going to be like some tiles that might not necessarily be that great in a DAB context, but might be not nearly as bad in a triple bingo context, and vice versa.
And one thing, I have not seen any triple bingo ever. One thing I am very interested to see is in DAB and in normal bingo, generally the most critical thing to win is either how can I avoid Lower Norfair or how can I avoid Meridia. And you're like, oh, if I can avoid the wreck ship too, that's great. Whereas with triple bingo, you're going to have to get so many more tiles that I'm wondering if the ideal routes are really going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I've done a few of these triple bingo cards, and from what I can tell, like in almost all cases, you're going to want to like go up to wrecked ship early and get gravity suit, and then basically do the rest of everything from there, which does make it kind of challenging in that sense because you're doing a very low resource Fantoon fight. But a lot of the runners in this tournament are really good runners, and we'll see, and they can deal with the low resource Fantoon fight. So yeah, we have Maniacal, who's a really strong runner who's been running this game for a very long time, and Lomion Jones is a much newer runner. So we'll see if Lomion Jones decides to do an early wrecked ship. They may decide instead to just go the safe route and do Creed first to get Varia suit.
Alright, so we've got our card up in front of us. Which of these tiles do you think the runners are not going to want to do at all? I can at least see one.
So I'm looking at this. I mean, finishing Metal Pirate Room is kind of out of the way. 35 super missiles is a lot of collection. And I mean, skip high jump is probably the
that's the one I was thinking of. No way they skip high jump boots.
Yeah, it's one of those like tiles that like you look at it and you think, and it's like it doesn't require you to do anything, but it's such a hindrance to your movement that most runners, like, it would take a lot for them to choose a row with skip high jump in it.
And of course, both of our runners do get to start off with that tile, and we will mark it off if they collect the high jump. There are, of course, two finish it tiles on the board, finish in Mama Turtle room and finish in the Metal Pirates room. As you cannot finish in two rooms simultaneously, most likely we'll only be seeing one of those at most from each room.
And another one of the really bad tiles is the collect all 60 Brinstar missiles. Just because Brinstar is such a widely spread out area, and it requires you to visit Billy Mays. There's a missile in Kraid's lair. There's the missile behind Alpha Peebs and so it's one that kind of requires you to go all over the place.
Some of the easier ones on here are getting a few energy tanks. There's actually many energy tank tiles on this particular board, so we might see, from a triple bingo perspective, them trying to get a bunch of different energy tanks. Getting Brinstar Reserve Tank is pretty easy, so wouldn't be surprised to see several run of our runners do that. 10 plus power bombs isn't too bad. And of course, the run does start out pretty traditionally regardless. Can't get very far without bombs. So, what can you tell us about? Do you know either of these runners well, 64-bit? You, of course, are also a participant in the tournament, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, I've watched Maniacal a decent amount, and so Lomion Jones less so. But yeah, I was watching him do a card just before this, and like one thing is that I kind of observed is that he's really gonna look for tiles that try to minimize collection. And if he can avoid boss fights, then that's also something he's going to want to do.
Personally, I really like it when the runners, if they're going to collect something, choose energy tanks, because those are on the screen for me to see. So we'll get a little bit of information from Maniacal here shortly. If he, after getting his early supers, chooses to go into and get his Brinstar reserve tank and/or those Brinstar missiles.
Yeah, so one other thing that I kind of observed from watching Maniacal earlier is that he does tend to favor getting the Brinstar Reserve regardless, just to get a little bit of extra safety for Fantoon.
Wonder if he's choosing to collect energy tanks, if that means he'll try to get like the Wavegate tank instead of the reserve tank. There he goes. Jones close on his heels. Looks like Maniacal is choosing to collect at least a few more missiles.
Yeah, I know he was also talking that he does think that it's worth just grabbing these couple missiles if you're gonna grab the reserve. So you just saw him grab the front missile and skip the back missile, and that's again just to give him a little bit more for that Fantoon fight.
Looks like he's choosing not to do row 4 or column 1. And of course, in this match, it is not necessary for the rows or columns or anything to like connect. You can have them be whatever you want them to be. And in fact, you do want them to overlap as much as possible. Doing 3 rows or 3 columns would generally not be advisable. But certain routes would make that possible. The next big decision, of course, in any Super Metroid race almost, for either randomizer or bingo, is up or down. And Maniacal is choosing to head up towards Fantoon. Do you think Jones will head up, or will he head down to Kraid?
My suspicion is that Lomion Jones is going to head down just because Lomion Jones is a less experienced player. And that early Fantoon fight, not only do you have to get a frame perfect CWJ over the moat, but you also have to be able to do a very low resource Fantoon fight, which can be scary, especially if you're not very experienced with Fantoon.
And that's definitely something I always recommend for races like this, is you have to know where your skill level stands, and you should do things that you're comfortable with. If it's going to take you a while to get a CWJ, then you should go down, because going down is not that much slower. Maniacal chosen to pick up beta power bombs, and with that he gets his 10 plus power bomb.
Yeah, and as I suspected, we see Lomion Jones heading down.
Interesting to note that so far Lomion has picked up every Brinstar missile. And so we'll see if he keeps going for more.
Now, one thing to note about that, though, is the fact that he's not going to be able to pick up the Creed missile on his first go-around because he doesn't have power bombs yet. So he's going to need to return there later when he does have power bombs.
Lomion deciding he wants the best beam in the game. Unfortunately, we do not have any spacer tiles today.
Yeah, I mean, Spazer is a nice comfort item, especially for inexperienced runners, because there's a bunch of places where, especially in Upper Norfair, where Spazer just makes things just a little bit easier. But as players get more experience with the game, they eventually can drop Spazer and be able to do all of the strats without it.
Looks like Maniacal is choosing to get that collect gauntlet energy tank tile there in row 2, column 3.
Yeah, so that, I think, makes sense if you're going to be doing this Fantoon first and I know that Maniacal is not. He can definitely do the Fantoon first fight, but he doesn't usually run new route. So
well,
because
it is also a tile, right? Like I'm assuming this is just part of his route that he wants to get that tile, and he probably won't be heading back up towards the ship anytime soon to have that for either that row or column.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, there's always that decision to make on whether you do it before or after wrecked ship. And yeah, so it works out routing wise. It makes the Fantoon fight a little bit safer.
And the interesting thing, right, is that tile is the tile that is shared with both finish-in tiles. Lomion taking Kraid to the prom. And since that tile is shared with both finish-in tiles, he will have to choose row 2 or column 3. My guess, given that he seems to be collecting additional power bombs, is that he is going to be aiming. I guess there's power bombs in both of those rows and columns, so we still have no idea which one he wants to do.
Yeah, now the interesting thing is, so the column there is mostly lower Norfair stuff, whereas the row would put him doing Meridia stuff. And so that may play into what he wants to do.
Well, the interesting thing. Well, I don't think he'll be doing column 5 because he's skipping criteria missiles, as well as that's a lot of energy tanks. Because Screw Attack is the only other lower. There's only 3 lower Norfair tiles on the board. Because you can always choose to get Plasma Beam instead of Ridley, so that one's really both. And so there's the Defeat Golden Terizo, which you could do Spore Spawn instead. There is Screw Attack, and there is Finish in Metal Pirate Row. So if he does want to go with row 2, though, that means he will have to go down to Crocomire and get his Grapple Beam. But getting the Grapple Beam, he can't actually do the column 3 tile. So there's a little bit of anti-synergy there. If he wants to get row 2, he still has to get Grapple Beam, but he doesn't actually get a tile out of it. He could also skip the charge beam and get a tile that way. Lomion choosing to not skip the high jump boots. So if Maniacal wanted to, I think row 2 and then column 2 could possibly combine decently. But that's a lot of collection if he wants to go down to try to get column 2. 35 supers and 9 energy tanks. Lomion heading to go get his likely speed booster, which that's another tile that Maniacal will lock himself out of if he wants to go for row number 2. See how Maniacal does heading to do his Fantoon fight, though. 2 tanks, 15 missiles should be relatively comfortable.
Yeah, and I guess Maniacal either didn't or spaced out his first 2 missiles too much, or shot 3 and didn't get as much damage as he wanted in phase 1.
Turns out Dopplers are hard.
Getting a nice fast there, so it should just be one more round.
Ooh, good thing he had that reserve tank. Alright, now will Lomion choose to collect anything Norfair reserve-wise? Nope, doesn't want any of those items. Likely heading straight towards that wave.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, I don't see any other reserve tiles, which would be the only reason that he would want to go in that direction.
We'll get a pretty decent read on Maniacal for his progress towards that super missile count if he chooses to get both left side and right side supers. Lomion going for that beam firepower. Yes, as a general rule, what a lot of runners I've seen like to do for at least double anti-bingo is I either want to run new route or want to run old route, and you just skip part of the game. And so Lomion is looking to do kind of an old route piece here, throwing in some Crocomire, heading for that grapple. Whereas Maniacal is, of course, choosing the new route. Probably we will never see him fight Kree. And he's also choosing to increase his energy tank collection, it looks like, saving here for what I assume is a Spiky Room of Death traverse.
Yeah, about the only reason we would see Maniacal want to fight Kraid would be to get Kraid E-Tank if he's doing one of the E-Tank goals, but even then, there are a lot more faster E-Tanks to get.
Ooh, it actually occurs to me, did Lomion skip Charge Beam on his way? I think he did. So he is doing a chargeless croc fight. Which means that if he's going for Grapple Beam, he wants that skip charge tile. But that's interesting that he would choose to get both Spazer. I guess, is that a reason to get Spazer and Wave? Is that because since you won't have your Charge Beam to help you do damage? Nice job, Lomion, taking that Crocomire.
I mean, I would, yeah, if I would basically not collect other beams if I were going to skip charge. I mean, Wave probably being the exception because Wave has utility other than just doing damage because it can go through walls, but yeah.
Yeah, especially if you're wanting to save your ammo and avoid gate glitching to Croc.
Yeah.
Maniacal having lots of fun with this joyful jump of the game. There you go.
Yeah, so now he just has to make it back through Spiky Room of Death, which hopefully will happen with no issues.
Lomion does get his power bomb on his way to Kraid, so it'll be interesting to see if he chooses to take that up to after Croc. So it'll be interesting to see if he chooses to go back into the Kraid room and grab that missile. Are you a strike kind of person, or do you tend to bowl some spares?
I mean, I'm not super great at bowling, so I'll probably, yeah. So, not super known for like, although I think like the last time I played bowling was a number of years ago. I think I might have like gone like 1 or 2 strikes, but yeah.
Lomion almost getting the best mock ball in the game, coming back from grapple. But we're gonna see how Maniacal's bowling skills are today.
Yeah, we see Maniacal heading into bowling, not having any regular missiles. Okay, there he farms a couple there, but his ammo situation is a little tighter than I think he would want it to be.
And a 2-jump bowling for Maniacal. That's a strike. Lomion did lose his collect only one of tile for Speed Booster and Grapple Beam. So hopefully he was seeing that and not counting on anything in row 4 or column 3. Maniacal obtaining the ever overpowered gravity suit. Does everything the Varia does and more. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we see Lomion Jones heading back in to get the Kraid missile that he could not grab earlier.
So far, I believe he has 6. But this will give him his 6th Brinstar missile. Or it looks like maybe he's just... Oh, he's going to visit the Brinstar energy recharge station.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because I think like that's one thing that maybe he kind of realized now that he also needed to do.
Or just he decided to change up his route.
Yeah, I mean that's always possible too. And I know like doing some these triple bingos are very hard to route because you have to do it entirely on the fly. Unlike Dab, you don't get to see the card in advance. So the first time these runners saw the card was when the timer started. So it is definitely very possible that you might see a runner kind of switch on the fly between like what row they were thinking of initially and they see something better. And that might happen a bit more often in triple bingo than you'd see in dab.
Looks like Maniacal indeed is heading to Kraid. That likely implies he wants at least one of these E-Tank goals. And as we were discussing, he may be going for that row 1 and wants that energy recharge station. Interesting. If Lomion is going for energy recharge stations, I would have expected him to... maybe he's going to grab it after he gets X-Ray?
Yeah, I mean that might be his plan. Just like it's easy to accidentally take damage in X-ray. So if you just then loop back down there, it's not that much of a time loss to go down, get the refill, and then go back up if you have to do it anyways. And I think that's 2 misses on the Kraid quick kill in this race, unfortunately.
Even Kraid has to go dancing.
So we get twice the Kraid prom.
Still, definitely a wide open, interesting Maniacal choosing to get the Varia suit.
I wonder if that was just muscle memory, because I know that it's happened to me. Like sometimes in a randomizer, even if I'm in go mode, I just like out of habit go into that room just because it's like from every vanilla speed run, if you're fighting Kraid, you're pretty much always going to grab that Varia suit, with maybe the exception of RBO. And yeah, Maniacal, now that he's defeated Kraid, picking up that E-Tank is pretty quick. So, looks like he is going for one of the E-Tank collection tiles.
Wouldn't be surprised to see both runners do so. I do believe it's correct that neither runner has visited the energy recharge stations by the Eticoons. And I cannot recall if Lomion ended up visiting the energy recharge for Sloter's recharge.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed that. And yeah, well, yeah, Maniacal cannot have visited the Decora recharge station because he does not yet have Speed Booster.
I believe isn't Decora is Decora a save or recharge down there?
Yeah, the Decora's in energy recharge. That's the Shine Spark one.
Yeah.
And
Because
yeah,
if you get stuck there and need the shine spark.
yeah.
Lomion backdooring the Spore Spawn supers. Doesn't want to fight him. Likely going for that 35 plus super missile tile. Well, he's going to go get his Wavegate E-Tank as well. Will be interesting to see if he grabs the power bombs in Mission Impossible.
Interesting that Lomion Jones is doing super strats on the gate when he has Wave Beam.
Ends up using Wave Beam to get through in the end.
Yeah, that I know Lomion Jones plays some randomizer, so that may just be randomizer muscle memory.
Lomion does have Speed Booster, and it looks like he also took a pause there to contemplate his choices. Not choosing to go for either big pink missiles or the power bombs and for Mission Impossible, but is grabbing his energy recharge station. Like I said, I do not recall if he actually went into the Sloter's recharge or not. We'll have to look at the door next time he goes down the red tower. Oh, Maniacal changing his mind to go that way. Also has no interest in that useless reserve tank up there. Headed, taking the Speedway or going to Croc? Going to Croc.
Well, this looks like towards Lower Norfair.
Oh, interesting. Indeed he is. Lomion grabbing his supers behind down by the Etakuni tank. Ditching the power bombs though.
Yeah, Maniacal's setting up for a gravity jump. So by turning off gravity suit, he's able to gain a lot of upward momentum because the game basically is switching between your normal physics and water physics, but keeps the amount of momentum you had in normal physics.
Interesting. So I'm assuming he'll be going for the screw attack and possibly the defeat Ridley tile. But he won't be able to get either of his finish-in tiles done here. Because I don't think he'll be able to have a triple bingo and finish in the Metal Pirate room. Or actually, let's see here. If he gets Power Bombs of Shame or Power Bombs in Jail and defeats Golden Terizo and gets the energy tanks and screw attack, Still don't think I'm still not seeing a full three rows of columns diagonals.
Yeah, he may just be going in, grabbing screw attack, possibly killing GT, and then just leaving.
Looks like he is.
Looks like he's setting up to just
not
leave.
Killing GT. Yep.
He might be farming supers, actually.
Nope, he's leaving. Ocean Spark time for Lomion, heading into his wreck ship fight. Ah, yes. Looks like Maniacal was coming just for that screw attack.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because that's a really far out of the way to go for just one item.
But sometimes in triple bingo, that's what you got to do. Getting that last tile in your third row column diagonal is often tricky.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's just kind of unfortunate when it basically forces you just out of the way for this one thing. Lomion Jones having an extremely comfortable Fantoon fight.
Maniacal choosing now to head towards the Crocomire. Will also be doing chargeless Crocomire, but has a much more comfortable fight than Lomion did with 13 supers. Oh, changing his mind. Guess he wants to farm a bit more. Don't blame him. Running out of ammo against that Croc fight is a pain.
Yeah. Did Maniacal collect charge?
He did not.
Okay, so yeah, in that case, yeah, he definitely wants to have all the ammo he can have because it's a really awkward situation when you run out of ammo against Croc. Because you can farm ammo off of Croc's flames that he shoots after his swipe pattern, but it's really slow and it's something that you don't want to have to deal with.
So at this point, I'm assuming that both runners are doing column 2 and row 2. And if Maniacal does that, then he will also get row 3 for almost free. He has to get one extra power bomb pack, which you might even grab right here. And I don't know yet what Lomion's third row would be. But that is my guess for what Maniacal is doing, is that he's going to head into Meridia after getting his grapple beam to complete that.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
He might need to do a little bit of green cleanup to grab Spore Spawn Supers and the Wavegate Energy Tank.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I guess it's... Yeah, that is going to put him a little bit out of the way because he's going to need to find some time to go back to Brinstar and do all that cleanup and then head back to Meridia.
Lomion attempting to X-rated death all of the enemies in the attic. If you had the plasma beam, it would work.
Yeah, X-ray is one of those items that control you a bit when you accidentally select it. Yeah, if you're not used to using item deselect to get off your items, and then you're just one off, and you're on that X-ray scope, and you just stop dead in your tracks. That has definitely never once happened to me.
Lomion heading towards gravity. Maniacal, we'll see here if he goes straight into Meridia or decides to head up. If he's looking for that 35 plus super missile tile, I believe he has only collected 3 of the necessary 7.
Yeah, luckily there are 3 he can get in Meridia, which would just leave 1 more out of the way. Unfortunately, I missed the... Oh no, he didn't even go into GT. So yeah, he didn't even grab those.
Is it 2 in Meridia or 3?
There's crab supers, there's the
Yeah, crab
watering
supers was the one
holes,
I forgot.
yeah, and aqueduct.
Looks like indeed Maniacal is heading to do a small amount of Bryn cleanup.
Yeah, if I had to guess, he's gonna grab at least the I would guess. Well, actually, there are multiple places because he just needs to grab 1 extra super pack in Bryn Star, and then I don't know. There at least a couple E-tanks.
It might be worth him to get the E-tank and the supers at Edicoons as opposed to, say, watering hole.
Yeah. And one thing that kind of caught my eye too is that there's actually top left, bottom right. That if Maniacal's heading into Meridia anyways, he probably can get that for basically free.
That's a good point, and that would make it so you don't have to do the 9 plus energy tanks.
Yep, Maniacal. Yep, backdooring Spore Spawn, getting I believe the last super pack he needs outside of Meridia.
Interesting. Where are you going? Where are you going, Lomion?
Does he need to get, or does he want to get climb super?
Or climb supers. Could. Or you could be going for the... Nope, not climb supers. Maybe the E-tank in... E-tank in retro...
Yeah, that might be his plan, and then he can also pick up a power bomb pack if he's going for... Although, I don't know if he'd be going for the 20 power bomb tile, because that would require him to go back into Norfair to get Screw Attack or defeat GT. And I don't think he would want to go out of the way for that. So it looks like Maniacal is in fact getting all of the Brinstar supers.
That means that both of our runners need to collect 2 more super packs. Cards coming together. It's filling in. Like I said, my guess is definitely that both runners will get the Meridia map station, collect their spring ball, and finish in Mama Turtle Room, while getting 35 super missiles for row 2 and row 3. And indeed, if Maniacal in fact actually doesn't even need to get spring ball. He only needs to get the supers, beat Bot Wound, and then go back to Mama Turtle.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he ultimately decides to do, because he definitely has some options. Yeah, Lomion Jones definitely got the other the Sloters refill there.
Thank you for noticing. Lomion heading into Meridia at the same time Maniacal is. So both of our runners pretty close together here. Maniacal having the advantage of having that screw attack. Lomion, though, is at 7 tanks, right? Yeah. So Lomion could get Mama Turtle tank and Bot Wound tank, and that'll get him to 9. And that'll give him his column 2.
Yeah, but he is skipping right past Mama Turtle, at least for now. Maybe he's planning on going back that way on the exit.
Because he has to finish in there to get his tile.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Wow, so this is going to be a really close race here. Both Maniacal and Lomion both need 1 more super pack after they get this super pack. Lomion will have to... Looks like Lomion is slightly in the lead, but he'll have to actually get the energy tank in Mama Turtle room, whereas Maniacal only has to go into the room. Ooh, and both runners have to do no charge beam Bot Wound.
Yeah, that's... I mean, they have a plenty of supers, so that shouldn't be a huge issue, but it's always... It can be a little bit scary if the fight starts to not go your way.
Chat, feel free to feel fine to correct me if I've missed something on the tracker. Both runners in Bot Wound at the same time. Even with the very different routes, just goes how close things can be.
Did Lomion wind up going to Billy Mays? Because I know he was collecting a lot of the Brinstar missiles earlier.
He did not, nor did he end up getting Kraid missile or big pink missile.
Okay, so yeah, maybe he was kind of thinking of doing that earlier, and then abandoned that plan. Looks like Lomion might, however, be going on to Dragon. About the only... There's only like the plasma beam tile that I see here, though, because otherwise, and that is on a couple of rows I don't think he wants to do.
Meanwhile, Maniacal, I think, is actually could pull off a quadruple bingo if he so felt like it. And indeed he has. Top left to bottom right, column 2, row 3. And, or maybe no, maybe I just can't count. That's
No,
just
looks
3.
like...
But he's also leaving. Did I miscount something?
Yeah, that's interesting because, yeah, unless he forgot about a super pack, that's about the only thing I can think of.
It's fairly certain he got all of them. Well, we'll just have to ask him at the end.
Yeah, looks like he
has actually donned. I think he's going to go verify his super count. Or he's going to check something about his supers, but he has actually donned in the race channel.
Okay, yeah, then that makes sense. Yeah, there's a farm spot up here that he, although it's really slow, but I guess he can slowly start to verify his super count.
I am fairly confident in his super
And
count.
Lomion Jones is sitting there. Has there been a dot forfeit from him, or is he just pondering?
He is pondering. I cannot recall if he picked up a 4th power bomb pack or not. Because at this rate, right, he's got column 2. He can get top left to bottom right. And so I think he needs to get row 2, and he's heading to Dragon.
Yeah, well, it looks like he's going to be getting that power bomb pack. The 1 power bomb pack in Meridia, or he's just dropping right through. Maybe he thinks he does have 4 packs.
He got the one at Crocomire. He got the Retro Bryn power bombs. And he could have gotten Alpha and Beta pretty easily, and I just didn't see him get them.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't catch when he was in Red Tower if he got betas. So yeah, we might need both runners to verify counts. And looks like Lomion Jones is heading up to get his spring ball. Getting trolled a little bit by the bugs up at the top.
Indeed, Lomion heading towards it. Maniacal is just like, I'm going to get more supers, just in case, I think.
Yeah. I mean, now he definitely has enough. But he would need to go back to Mama Turtle Room for that to count.
I am very confident he now has 40.
Yeah. I mean, I think the faster place to verify his count would have been to go to Aqueduct, and then there's that side room that you go to if you fall through the sand after Botswoon, and there's tons of bugs in that room that you can farm. and they pop up at like 5 at a time, so it's a lot more efficient than farming these individual bugs one at a time.
Now he's got to farm to 36.
So yeah, we'll see.
There it is.
Oh.
36.
Yep, so there we go. That was an official done. So
yes, Maniacal did done while he was still in the Mama Turtle room. I'm not going to unmark his time.
yeah. Meanwhile, Lomion Jones heading to the Meridian map station, it looks like.
Looks like Maniacal will be joining us for a post-game interview. Lomion giving that map station what to? And welcome, Maniacal, to the stream.
GG Maniacal.
Hey, thank you, GG. That was fun.
It's my first time ever watching or casting a triple bingo. And so as someone who's so used to casting dab now, it really is a different mindset to try to plan out a route when I'm trying to figure out what the runners are doing.
Oh, it's totally a different beast, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm actually really enjoying triple bingo, and since I'm not really of the mind that I'm going to be winning this tournament, I might just try and do as many triple bingos as I can because I'm having a good time with it. This card was a really rough card, though. Really, really rough card.
Hear that, future opponents of Maniacal? Never veto triple bingo because I want to cast as much as I can.
Yeah, or just veto triple bingo because I'm ready. Let me play some other category.
What, you're ready for low percent ice?
I'm not ready for that one yet, but I got a couple weeks.
So Lomion is coming in here to get his last E-Tank, but I was unable to confirm if he has 20 power bombs or not.
Yeah, so I got alpha and beta, croc power bombs, and then what other one did I grab? I grabbed some other power bombs. Criteria power bombs. I bomb jumped up. So that was where my 20 power bombs came from. So the way I decided on a route on this one was all the tiles seemed really bad. Like
yeah,
the texture of this board was awful, and I decided that oddly, column 2 looked like it played fairly well with top left, bottom right. And then there was the free roll of if you do those tiles, you're kind of already set for row 3 because Bryn Reserve is pretty free. And I heard Link say this in the commentary because I had y'all on my phone while I was racing. And I enjoyed the commentary, by the way. It was fun. But I figured Bryn Reserve is free because I pretty much always want to grab it if I'm going direct ship early just as a safety. And this time I also, because of the 9 E-Tanks, decided to go over and grab Gauntlet Tank early. And it turned out good because my Fantoon really went quite badly.
that reserve triggered. We were like, ooh, good thing he went for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going in with at least one E tank and a reserve at this point. I just don't have enough experience with new route style Fantoon, especially if I'm going in chargeless and don't have pseudo screw as a backup.
Yeah, that was
as it was with
nasty. That was
this.
nasty for this one. But you definitely threw me for a loop because, right, Gauntlet Energy Tank is a tile. And so, like, this whole time,
Yeah.
I'm trying to, like, theory craft, is he doing row 2 or column 3? I don't, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I skipped Ice Beam. I could have just as easily gone over and tagged the Spring Ball and ended up with row 2 as well.
Yep,
But
and that's
the
what
9E tanks,
yeah.
the 9E tanks actually routed pretty cleanly, given the. So the thing was, the 6 and 7 E tanks goals were already on the board in spaces that weren't miserable. And then there was so much skip grapple or get grapple or only get one of grapple type stuff that was going on, plus the spring ball skip ice, that you were really incentivized to avoid the skip grapple spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was the texture of those plus the spread of the E-Tank collection plus then the two finish tiles and how it all kind of fell together that led me to end up with a finish in Meridia space. I'm not 100% certain about the row 3 because it did require the 20 power bombs and screw attack, but
20 power bombs was required for top left bottom right as well.
Yeah, and
so it was just the lower Norfair dip, which wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't. I mean, you kind of hedge on getting your green gate glitch. It lets you go down. The problem was I didn't want to do the GT fight because I routed it before Croc and Grapple, so I didn't have an easy farm in there to farm up power or to farm up supers, and I didn't have Charge Beam. So I didn't want to go get GT supers, which left me kind of in a weird spot for where I wanted to get my super missiles. And so I decided to grab the what was it? The Edikuns supers with that E-Tank and the Spore Spawn supers and skip on Beach. But then I heard y'all talking about how many supers I had. Then you were pretty sure. I was pretty sure. I was like, I listed them off in my head. I was like, no, I got all these things.
Yeah, I was pretty sure you had it.
Then I saw Fruit Bat Salad in chat saying something like that. I enter Meridia with like 15 supers, and I'm thinking, my God, I totally didn't do that.
And just so everyone knows, Lomion did not done. He's checking his power bomb, and of course they're not talking for him.
Yeah, so I see a dot undone now.
So I might have been right that he didn't grab his last power bomb back.
Oh no!
I was trying to figure out where he got it from, and I couldn't find it.
Where is he hanging out right now? Is he near right sandpit? Maybe.
I think that's the one he meant to get, and I think because he went through right sandpit on his way toward Spring Ball, and so I think he just didn't grab it. Is what happened. I don't actually know if times count for anything in this tournament, like for tiebreakers or anything. Because like triple bingo is the only category where it's really weird, where all, aside for some like unique circumstances in Hundo. But anyways, give it up for Lomion for finishing it out after I asked him to, because now I feel bad. I appear to have maybe been dropped by the internet as like, no, Maniacal and 64-bit aren't allowed to talk anymore. So we'll see if hopefully they can come back here shortly. Lomion is also invited. I'll stick around and watch him finish out as he goes and finds more power bombs. Looks like he's going for Mission Impossible. Technically, he has to go back to Mama Turtle Room too. We all know what he was intending on doing. He just needed to grab the power bombs on his way to Spring Ball, and that happens so often with bingo. You're trying to go through a route, and you're like so focused on the next thing that you need to do that you forget to grab that one missile, or that missile under the stairs towards Brinstar Reserve, or one of your energy tanks.
All right, sorry about that.
No problem. Lomion gets his power bomb, and he's like, "Screw it! I don't want to go all the way back to Mama Turtle Room. I'm just gonna call."
Fair enough. Yeah, I got kicked out of the SRL channel. In fact, it tried to reconnect me through Hex Chat, and I am banned because I guess my user is already logged in and has refreshed.
Hasn't disconnected yet.
So if Lomion finished, GG to Lomion.
And don't know if he'll be joining us for an interview necessarily, but excited for the rest of the tournament, Maniacal?
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited for every bit of this tournament. I am working with it with the tournament team as an admin, and so we've been working on this for quite a few weeks at this point, trying to get a structure that we really like and that hopefully people are going to really enjoy. And I'm really looking forward to seeing kind of the execution of this relative to the last multi-category tournament, because this one kind of has a forced diversity, whereas last time it was kind of 5 categories, you and an opponent each blindly veto one, and then one randomly is drawn in the race channel ahead of time. But like, it led to some people ending up playing the same thing 4 or 5 times in the Swiss. And I personally wasn't a huge fan of that. It didn't really capture the feel of a multi-category tournament. And so I'm kind of excited about the 3 categories per week, pick one, where you literally cannot play the same thing every week. And so I think that's exciting. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how it plays out with the diversity of categories.
Yeah, and as the person who likes the bingo cards, I'm excited to see triple bingo.
Yeah, I am stoked that we got triple bingo in there. I know we had just had the DAB tournament, so we were looking for something cool that wouldn't have been played out, that would be fun for people, that would be doable on a vanilla Super Metroid cartridge. So that's like why Randomizer, for instance, wasn't something that we wanted to put in here, in addition to some other reasons. But with everything needing to be done on sort of official hardware without a flash cart as a constraint, I think triple bingo really presents a fun option. I'm glad that I got to explore that this week. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some other triple bingo matches.
It might spoil your opponents too much, but do you want to name the one category you don't want to do? And if you don't want to answer the question, that's perfectly fine.
I mean, I'm not wild about any percent as a category. I think that most players are better than I am at any percent, and I don't particularly enjoy the run. So, I mean, I know last multi-category tournament, I just vetoed any percent every week, because it's the thing that the experience gap between me and most players is the largest.
And definitely, I think you were saying earlier that you don't normally run New Route and CWJ terribly often. And definitely the if you don't know how to do that, that's just going to automatically put you at a disadvantage a lot of the time. So that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I didn't say that. What I said was that I don't run New Route and do a low resource fan tune that often. I actually CWJ fairly frequently. That's something that, for whatever reason, it was in my head tonight, and I was missing in practice early and late for the indoor setup. But I do a lot of randomizers, especially like the Super Metroid: A Link to the Past crossover randomizer, and you end up CWJing in that more than you would think, honestly. And so I have quite a few reps at just doing CWJ rect chip entry, but it definitely comes up more in triple bingo than it does in rando, but it's definitely not something where I feel like I don't have the experience I need to reliably execute it.
It's one trick where maybe eventually I'll learn how to do it.
Honestly, I feel like if you just sit down, especially if you already play with Moonwalk, if you sit down and you give it like 500 reps, you should be pretty consistent at it by the end of that. It's really a feel trick, and it's not actually as bad as it sounds. Like, it sounds really scary, double frame perfect, and then you realize that 60 frames per second is like an eternity in time per frame. It's like 16 millisecond window or something. So it's really not so bad. You have a pretty broad window for hitting the right window.
So in randomizer, which you were saying is more familiar, bomb jumping across the moat is an option a lot less of the time. But in vanilla Super Metroid, you will always have bombs going into that area.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about horizontal bomb jump versus CWJ?
I've done maybe 3 or 4 horizontal bomb jumps in my life, and I don't like the trick. It feels much more difficult than CWJ to me. I should probably go back and just grind it out a little bit more, especially if I'm considering doing more triple bingo in this tournament. But it's not something that I've put the hours in the same way, so I'm a lot less comfortable with it. It's definitely not a go-to for me. I would much rather just roll my shamed ball butt back through the moat when I dip in the ocean or the moat, and then end up trying CWJ again, and I'll get that faster than I'd get the HPJ backup.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the interview. Go follow Maniacal and Lomion on their Twitters, everyone, or Twitches. I can swear I can talk.
Yeah, you know, the whatever things, not necessary, but always appreciated. But thank you very much for first off for the race, Lomion, and also for the commentary, Link and Lunaris. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to definitely watching this one back with a little bit more of my attention paid to the restream and seeing kind of how it all played out. Sorry for the roughish start where I was like staggered and trying to get myself combobulated. And
that was my fault. Definitely, no. I can fix that going forwards. Just feel lucky. I almost pasted, because I'm so used to pasting dab links from my new card. I almost pasted one for that, and then I was like, that's what took so long. I was like, oh, wait a second. That would be the wrong card. Don't do that.
Yeah, we got it sorted out. I was just like already a little high-strung about needing to load this card because I'm playing on like a potato of a laptop right now, and so if I'm streaming, that already kind of kills it. So like getting the bingo card to even load in a reasonable amount of time can be kind of a struggle. Now, I did just buy a new streaming rig, so that should go away, that particular problem, in like the next week or so. But it was definitely something where I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to type this seed in while I'm trying to start this race and load this card. It was a mess, but we got it sorted out, and it worked out okay. So I'm glad that we now have established a good protocol. There's always some little hiccups at the beginning of these tournaments.
All right.
Yeah.
Any last words before we sign off?
Nope. Have a great night. Thanks for the commentary.
All right, everyone. We will see you next mission.